kitchen. It's so yummy, it's so good. I watch my mom make it in the microwave, and I can hardly wait for it to go pop, 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 to go pop, 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 pop.
You ready?
I'm ready.
All right.
I always wanted to do that.
Oh, cool. You want to do it?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, so you go like this?
Yep.
How many times?
I do it 3. You can do it how many times you want.
And action.
Welcome to this edition of the Wispy Mop Music Acoustic Radio Podcast Series. I'm your host, Todd, middle initial C. Walker. Yes, that's right, it's me. And this gentleman is Mr. Jon Lewis, who happens to be, among other things, a songwriter who performs mainly for kids these days, but he also does adult shows. Mr. Jon Lewis, thanks for joining me.
Thanks so much for having me.
So give me a little bit of history. You mentioned you've been writing songs since what, high school or college?
Since college.
So what got you started?
So music has always been a part of my family. I grew up in a house where mom played piano, dad played harmonica, and I was always doing music. And I love the stage. So I love music, but I also love the stage. So I grew up doing a lot of musical theater and performances and improv and comedy. I think one of the moments that stuck out to me, I was in college and a group came by named Andrew Peterson, and they're like a folk kind of like duo. And I was watching them and I thought, oh, I could do that. And I just, after that, I was like, oh yeah, I want to try that. But I had been like doing different like choirs and bands and like played the trombone in bands. So I just always loved this stage. So whether it was music or comedy or improv.
So was there a guitar player in that group?
Yeah, they were really interesting. They had guitar, mandolin, hammer, dulcimer, all kinds of like really
So they're more
interesting.
Americana kind of.
Yes, definitely Americana. And they had a really like nice chill vibe with the audience. Like it didn't seem very professional, but it was like very casual, but they were very good musicians. I don't know. There's something about the quality of all of that I watched them and I was like, oh yeah, I want to try that.
So what happened after that, after you kind of went,
So I started writing songs. And I remember the first time I sat down with a friend of mine, and I was like, I wrote a song. I want to play it for you. And he sat down. He was in my dorm. And I started to play it. And he got up and he left to get a drink of water. and I was like, oh, my song was bad. Was it bad? And, the first time I sat down to play a song, and he's just, I'm gone. He just left.
really?
Yeah.
So that was his statement on your...
I said, Jim, get back here and listen to my song. You're crushing my heart. But
Do you remember what the song was about?
no. It must have been forgettable.
So how long did it take you before you felt like you had started writing songs that you liked? Or maybe you liked the first one. I mean, I like all my songs. So.
Yes. I think just the more that I tried. So I was in a dorm where everybody played guitar, and I never learned guitar like officially, professionally. I learned from all friends. Mm-hmm. And so a friend would show me a bar chord, and then I try to play that. And a friend would show me some blues chords, and I try to play that. And so everybody's teaching everybody stuff. And so I would immediately try to like put that into songs and into experiences, and then just kept putting them out there for people. And then getting different reactions or even a reaction from my own self of like, you write songs. So, like when you get onto something, you're like, oh, I think this is something special. I like this.
Mm-hmm. So you played trombone.
Yes.
How soon after seeing that group did you start playing guitar, and did you own a guitar at that point in time?
Yes. These are great questions. So with the trombone, my dad played the trombone and my brother played the trombone. And so I wanted to play, as a kid, the clarinet. And they said, no, you play the trombone.
It's like being in the military. Yeah.
And they were like, this is all we can afford. We have one, so play this. I was like, okay. So I played the trombone. And I took piano lessons as a kid. And in high school, I started learning guitar from friends. So I had a friend from Columbia, and he was at our school for the year, and he taught me Faith by George Michael on the guitar. such a random, like, friend from Columbia taught me Faith by George Michael. And I was like, this is awesome. And so every time he was around, I was like, can I borrow your guitar? Can I borrow your guitar? And even into college, I just had some old guitar my mom found at her doctor's office or something. She was like, oh, you can have this guitar. Oh, thanks. And it wasn't any good. And so I was finally starting to write some songs in college. And my wife, who is a musician, she's a classically trained pianist. Her music teacher had a guitar and it was great. And I said, can I borrow your guitar for this little concert we're putting together? I don't know why, but he said yes. So I played that guitar for the concert. This is a long story, I played that guitar for the concert. Later, I said to that professor, if you ever get rid of this guitar, I love it. I would buy it from you. So a couple months later, he sold it back to the music store. He bought it. He told me, I went there that afternoon and I was like, did you have a Gibson Epiphone that just came in? And they said, yes. And I said, I'll buy it. They were like, it came in like 2 hours ago. So I got it for $350 with a hard case and I still play it. I've been playing it
That's
for like.
the one I've seen you play.
Yes, yes. I've bought Taylors and stuff since and it's just nothing like that one. That one feels right.
Now that one, I'm trying to remember, it's the EJ 200?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I only just recently learned that because I'm not much of a guitar guy. Guitar guys come to me up after shows all the time and they're like, what's the model of your guitar? Is it a J200 series? And I'm like, I don't know. And so I finally was like, I need to remember this. And so I'm so happy that you asked me. And I was like, I know it's a J200.
It's known as the king of flat tops.
Really?
Yeah, because a lot of the, Elvis played, a lot of the icons of the music industry played a lot of different guitars.
Yes.
But it was either Martin D28 or D18, which was the bluegrass guys.
Right.
And then it was the Gibson J200 series, which is the Epiphone EJ200. And a lot of the British performers of the 1960s played the 200. It's big. It has it's a great guitar, especially for songwriters.
I saw the Beatles playing it in one of their documentaries. Mm-hmm. I think George was playing it. I was like, oh, that's my guitar.
Yeah.
It didn't have the cutout, but it was like the full body.
So you've put a lot of hours on that guitar.
A lot of hours on it and a lot of work. I've dropped it. I've tripped on it. I've done everything to it. And the great guys at Making Music here in Frederick have like rebuilt it so many times. And I'm just so thankful. I need to get another one. So since you're the guitar guy, we'll talk after the show. Okay. I'll be like, where should I get another one, Todd?
Well, I'm a firm believer that every performer should have a backup.
Yes.
It's like on stage, you should have backup cables,
yes,
a backup microphone, because you never know, even a backup extension cord, because you never know when one little thing's going to go wrong.
So true. Yes.
So
it always has, and then we learn from our mistakes.
Yeah. At least, do you play ukulele?
I do. I play the guitar, and then I play on other instruments. So I have a mandolin, an ukulele, piano at home. And so I kind of like just tune it my own tuning and make up chords. So it's not correct, but I like it. So,
well, sometimes, and because I play by ear as well, and I learned the way you learned, which was a friend, hey, what's that chord?
Yeah.
And that's the way the Beatles learned.
Wow.
And I tell the story
like
many
the Beatles?
times. Yeah, of course we are.
You heard it here, folks.
I'm feeling my wallet is a little thin, though.
Yeah, right. Yeah, where's all our royalties?
But anyways, now your wife, Carrie.
Yes.
Because I knew you two as a duo.
Right.
From the coffee company years ago.
I was trying to remember when that was. I think we moved to Frederick in around 2008. And then we started playing in the Frederick scene. And we went to one of the Frederick Coffee Company open mics.
Yeah.
That's probably where.
Yeah, that's where I probably met you.
Yeah. So I was trying to remember that.
So you met her in college.
Yes.
All right. Got married right out of college, I'm assuming?
Yes.
Or,
yeah. I love your chair, too. This makes me want to like. The people not watching, it's like I'm swiveling right now.
It's great until you're in a bar or something, you're trying to chat with somebody and the chair's moving on you.
The chair's moving on you.
Just because the floor's uneven or something, I'm not sure why. So she's classically trained.
Yes.
Now, when did you decide to go? You're not solo, really. You are solo, but you're not, because the Friends part, Mr. Jon and Friends, is Carrie, right?
Yes.
When did you decide to do because you were in the library for a long time?
Yes.
Is that what you studied in college?
No. I studied to be like a youth pastor, like a youth minister in college. And I tried that a little bit in my 20s. And so then I found my way into working with kids at libraries. And so now I'm still like doing music for kids. So it's always been like youth related.
Well, I noticed on your calendar, you do quite a few performances at libraries, which kind of makes sense because a lot of your shows are geared towards children.
Yes. I would say the target demographic is like 1 to 6. So like pretty much preschool. Mm-hmm. So if a little kid can walk up to you and say something weird, which I love, then that's my audience. They'll just come up and they'll be like, yesterday, my brother, he tripped, he wanted my apple juice and he fell and I said, you can't have it. And I'm like, nice to meet you too. and I love it. They do that all the time. It's great.
So you're kind of the modern day Rafi.
Oh, yeah. Well, we said we're the Beatles.
Yes.
And that you said I'm Raffi, so that, interview over. I'll take it.
Well,
No.
when my kids...
No, he's the best. He's like my hero. He's the best.
And is he still around?
He is. And he still puts out beautiful music.
Yeah.
Yeah. He started as like a folk singer, and then I would study some of his early concerts, the singable songs for very young. He put out a concert in like 80, and it's just, I've watched it over and over, the way he like talks to kids and still has great musicianship. It's just it's the perfect blend. It's just why he's so relevant, I think.
Well, my sons, who are now almost 40 and almost 38,
Okay.
grew up on Rafi with Baby Beluga and all the songs.
Yes.
I've forgotten most of them, but I liked it as much as they did. In fact, I probably enjoyed his music more than they did because kids have a short attention span, or
Yes.
at that age, a shorter attention span than we adults. As we get older, though, I will tell you, just so you're aware, your attention span will diminish.
Oh, no. It's so short right now. You just have to ask my family. I think you hit on something that's like the crux of my kids' music, though. Like the idea that families can enjoy it. So when Carrie and I transitioned into doing kids' music, we really just wanted to make real music with the content in the music that was for kids. But we still wanted to like sing and play our instruments and have it in our style and have it be like a warm, nice, fun sound. And I've had parents come up to me and say, I was listening to your CD in the car and the kids weren't in the car.
Yeah.
And I was like, as a parent myself, who's listened to so much kids music in the car where my kids are like, play number 2 over and over and over, all the way to Ohio and back. And you're like, oh, like that's the biggest compliment. So that's what we were going for, like that idea.
So how did the transition from a duo and working in the libraries, what made you decide to go into doing the kids stuff? Was it an aha moment?
It was gradual, but there were aha moments. So me and my wife, Carrie, started having kids, and then I was working with kids at the library. And so my children are my muses. So I just have my guitars out, and they would say something fun. Like our most famous song that everybody comes up to us and says is Snake in the Grass.
Which
that's
I love.
Like thank you. But that's the one that at every show, if you don't play that one, the kids will riot. So my son said that. He was like 4, and he said, Daddy, sing a song about a snake in the grass. And I just picked a minor chord and just started going, snake in the grass. And it was like a lightning in a bottle moment. And I've tried to recapture it, and you can't.
No.
It just has to happen like that. So my wife and I started having children. I was working with children, started writing for children. And then I remember one of the aha moments was we were playing for the Frederick's First Saturday. So we're out on the street, like right over by Brewer's Alley. And a bunch of kids just had formed with their parents. Like they just showed up and they were just jumping around. We were singing like a Jack Johnson cover or something. And my wife says, why don't we sing like Wheels on the Bus or something? I said, let's, kind of do it like kind of funky and loose like this. And so we did it, and it was like the whole room went, choo, and the kids were jumping and they were dancing. And then after the song, they left, and we looked at each other like, wow, that was really an engaging moment. So that kind of led into like people at the library saying, well, would you play this birthday party? And I'd say, sure. And I'd go home and say to my wife, I'm going to play a kid's birthday party. And she'd say, what are you going to do? And I'd say, I don't know. Maybe like story time like I do at the library. And so it kept positively like moving forward. And then eventually we were like, well, let's record an album for kids and see. And it just kept moving forward so much faster than adult music ever did. And we enjoyed it in a different way that we kind of like eventually left the adults behind unless they had kids. So,
Well, and we're going to get into that, but you have recently started to do adult shows again.
yes. And that's it's like a happy accident. I had a friend who owned a restaurant and they were like, hey, are you free a couple Sundays from now? And I said, to play your restaurant? And they said, no, for my daughter's 3rd birthday. And I said, oh, I thought you wanted me to play the restaurant. And they were like, do you do adult music? And I said, I used to, but I haven't done it in years. And they were like, would you do it again? I said, yeah. And so it just kind of like tried it, like, singing Beatles covers and like some of my old originals. And so now it's been like a fun side project to like play places around town and around the county, here and there.
Well, on your website, it says you do about approximately, again, it's going to change from year to year, about 270 shows.
Yes.
How much of that is travel time? Like how far away from Frederick? And we're taping this in Frederick, Maryland at my studio. What's the longest you've had to go for a show?
Mostly I do like a 7-state radius. So it's like Delaware, Virginia, New Jersey, Pennsylvania. I have flown out to Texas, and I have flown out to Chicago to play shows. And so that was a cool experience. So that's probably the farthest I've gone. The bread and butter shows are like in state. So there's a lot of libraries, a lot of preschools, a lot of daycares, a lot of birthday parties that happen within an hour. And that's the most. But summer tours happen where I'll play a library system in New Jersey, and then I'll do one in Virginia, and then I'll do one in Delaware. In the summers, we do a lot of band shows. So I have friends who used to do adult music with me. And then one day I said, you want to play kids music? And they said, what's that? I said, it's like the same thing, except
the lyrics are different.
Yeah, instead of Jack Johnson, you sing Wheels on the Bus. And they were like, okay. So they play about maybe 15 shows a year with me. And a lot of that happens in the summers.
Now, do you have a management person or are you and Carrie the booking agent?
Yeah, I do it. I pretty much do it all myself.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been full-time 6 years, kids music. So I'm the booker, I'm the emailer, I'm the performer, I'm the person who gets the tax info together, which we're coming up on.
Yeah. Now, many musicians who start off in open mics and then get into gigging, whether it's wineries or coffee shops, although a lot of the coffee shops are no longer in business because of COVID, or no longer have music, who would love to do music full time.
Yes.
Was that a difficult jump?
I'm a planner. I'm a real like detail person. So I met some people in a group. They call themselves KindieCom or Kindie musicians. So instead of indie, independent, they're kids. And so they're Kindie. And they used to do these workshops in Philly called KindieCom, where kids, musicians, and performers would come together. They'd have speakers and like some famous people come, and then you kind of can network and talk. And I met a bunch of people there one year before I was full-time, and I just picked all their brains. And I said, you're full-time. How did you do it? What did you wish you knew before you started? What have you learned now? And then every person I could talk to, I try to gauge, how could I do this? And then eventually I just sat down with my budget and I said, okay, this is how much I make working a job. How many shows would I have to book per month to make the jump? And so it ended up just being math. And by then I had done so many performances around. And the great thing is that there's kids everywhere. So.
Oh, there are, yeah.
So there's no shortage of like, I wish this area had schools and libraries and festivals and like venues. And so I had met a lot of people in library world, and I had met a lot of people performing. And then eventually it was like, I think we can make the jump.
Well, on that note, we're going to take a short break
Yes.
so people can listen, you folks can listen to, what, Snake in the Grass? Would that be a good
yeah,
one?
Yeah, sure.
And all you're going to see is probably a photo of this fellow and listen to the song. We may or may not play the whole song.
Yeah.
But we'll be back because I want to ask you some more questions. Is that cool?
That's cool. And the picture might have a different head of me because I used to have long hair and like a Backstreet Boys pirate beard. So,
Well,
so if that's the picture that's up, it's still me, folks.
we'll be right back.
Snake, snake, snake in the grass. Snake, snake, snake in the grass. Snake, snake, snake in the grass. Oh no, I see a snake. So we all better run. Snake, snake, snake in the grass. Snake, snake, snake in the grass. Snake, snake, snake in the grass. Oh no, I see a snake. So now we gotta walk really quietly. Snake, snake, snake in the grass. Snake, snake, snake in the grass. Snake, snake, snake in the grass. Oh no, I see a snake. So we gotta run really fast. Snake, snake, snake in the grass. Snake, snake, snake in the grass. Snake, snake, snake in the grass. Oh no, I see a snake. So I get in my car and drive away. Vroom, 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 vroom.
So you're a director now, too.
Yes. Why not? I'm getting so many accolades on this podcast.
So the song we just listened to, Snake in the Grass.
Yes.
When did you write that one?
I think I wrote that probably around 2011. So yeah, that's the one that I wrote. I was sitting around with my son and he said, "Daddy, sing a song about a snake in the grass." And we just started playing with some minor chords. And it only has like 3 chords to the song. And that's just the song that I do at every show. And I have the kids, we ask them to walk in place. And then when the snake goes, when you see a snake and you run, you have to run in place. And cueing the audience, which is kids, to be in place is key, or else you have pandemonium. Yeah. So it's like, okay, look at your feet. Can you walk in place? And we practice before the song. So that's very, and I learned that the first time I did it. And I said, let's do the snake. And they all went, ah.
So in writing your I guess you can call it kids' music, how often do your 2 children help you write the song? Or is that kind of gone by the wayside now that they're older?
When they were younger, I would just get my guitar out. So I'd have my guitar out, I'm playing around, and they're playing on the floor with their toys and things. And I'm just kind of like noodling around with chords and ideas. And that was the best part, I think, and the easy, well, not the best, but the easiest part to songwriting is that you're just kind of like writing, oh, what's that? What's that? What could that be about? Maybe a bird flying. And then I'd write down a bunch of ideas. With my younger child, we would sometimes sit down and I'd say, hey, can we have like 90 seconds to try to write a song? Because they were really good at writing it. And so we'd go really quick, try to write another song. And now how about we try to do this one in 90 seconds? And then you write it down and just see if anything good comes out. So all the ways have been fun of trying to like come up with songs.
Now, how old are the kids now?
16 and 11.
Gosh.
Yeah. A big kid and a medium kid.
I remember when the first one arrived.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when we showed up, we didn't have it.
No. Isn't it amazing how quickly 16 years goes by?
Oh, it's so amazing.
Yeah.
Yes.
I had a woman one time when I was selling houses here in Frederick, and we were chatting, and we had done all the house buying stuff, and she was saying something about, how old are your kids? I said, well, they're just little guys.
Yeah.
She goes, well, spend time with them. I said, I do as much as I can because I had gone through a divorce. She said, I had 5 kids, and when they all went to college, they never came back. So spend as much time because blink and they'll be gone. And I thought, no, they're just young. She goes, trust me, blink and they'll be gone. And bang.
It's true. What do they say? They say long days and short years.
Yeah.
Like when you're in the thick of it, when they're like so small and you're like, this is something I've never done before. This is the best and hardest thing. I've never been this tired. And then all of a sudden they're like grown up. Yeah.
So do the kids have musical talent as well?
They're very artsy and creative in their own ways. So one likes to play drums and does marching band, and one likes to do like crafty, artsy, kind of like making masks and drawing and stuff like that. So
Do they ever sing with the two of you?
they don't. They'll sometimes come and like be a roadie or help set up, but yeah, they kind of do their own thing, and it's great because they really keep me humble whenever I'm starting to get like some success. There's just like this element of like your dad.
Yeah.
So that's like, oh, well, you're just dad.
It was like George Harrison's son who got, when I guess he was in, I don't know, I think he was in what we now call middle school. I used to call it
Yes.
junior high.
Yeah, yeah. I called it both.
And he evidently didn't realize what his dad did for a living, and all his buddies were bugging him. And he came home and he got angry at his dad. He
Yeah.
says, "You never told me,"
He never.
because he was just dad.
Yeah, right. Yeah, yep.
And that's a good way to be.
Yes, yes.
You may be surprised at one point, one of them or both of them will gravitate into doing, not necessarily as a profession or,
Yes,
a
yes.
gigging.
Right, right.
But they will probably, drums are a little tough to sing to,
Yes.
but you can join in. And there's been some very famous drummers who sing really well. And how they do that, I have no clue.
No, I know. I can fathom playing an instrument like bass, guitar, piano, and singing, but like to drum
Yeah, I
and sing.
yeah.
Yeah.
I guess it's muscle memory. It's like we do with
Yes,
guitar.
yes, yeah.
We rehearse it, or what do they say? Practice is when you're learning something. Rehearsing is when you're trying to get it ready for performance.
Oh, I like that.
And
Yeah.
so practice until, especially with finger picking,
Yes.
it's, oh gosh, it's not working. And it's just do it and do
Those
it and do it
patterns and patterns and
until you don't
patterns.
have to think about it.
Yep. Yeah. I like that. Practice makes more practiced.
Yeah. So some of the guitar nerds out there,
Yeah.
they know what guitar you play. They're going to want to know what kind of strings you use. And don't be like Paul McCartney when someone asks him that question. He goes, "Oh, those long, shiny things."
I like the long, shiny things. What do you like? I think Diodario.
Yeah.
Are the strings I go for.
Now, have you tried the new XS coated strings, or are you more the uncoated?
I like both, but I do like coated.
Yeah.
I do like coated. I like my guitar to have like a nice, crisp, bright sound. And then when I plug it in, if I need more bass, then that's an easy thing to add in.
Now, did your guitar have a pickup in it when you bought it, or is that an after thing you put in?
Both. So it did have a pickup, but it's been rebuilt.
Yeah.
So now it has a volume, bass treble, and stuff on the side, which is great. I love being able to adjust it.
Now,
mid-show.
was it difficult for you to learn how to EQ everything to your liking?
It's just that constant tweaking. I think the detail part of my brain helps with that because I'm always like fidgeting normally. And so constantly like figuring out what I like my voice to sound like, the guitar to sound like, when the band's how they sound. We play a lot of shows with no sound guys because, it's like they're kids shows. And so when we get a sound guy, the band is like, well, we've got monitor wedges, and somebody in the back with like an iPad, like mixing. And it's like, they're like, ooh, this is special now. But yeah, it took some time. But like now that I've done it so much, I know exactly like how much treble to add for my voice or how much bass to add for my guitar, et cetera, and the level. And then I'm always fixing it mid-show too.
Now, do you do many shows now where it's a small enough group where you don't need sound reinforcement?
Yes, the shows are wild because I was just saying this to my wife yesterday. I can play shows that have 8 people or 800 and then all in between. So I can go do a small music class at someone's house for like 3 kids.
Yeah.
And we're just singing some songs. And then yesterday I played a library show celebrating a 5-year anniversary of a library in a mall in Annapolis. And there was like over 300 people there outside, like in the mall. And it was like, I was sitting there wide-eyed like, this is awesome because there's so many people. But I'm just happy to do what I do. And so that I can pay the bills and that I can do what I love. I just am happy to do it.
Well, they say find something you love to do and then figure out how to make money at it.
Yeah.
And it seems like you've done that.
Yes. Yeah. It's a lot of hard work, but for those times where it is hard, I always ask myself, would you rather do all the other like 30 jobs you did before? Because I didn't start full-time kids music till I was like 40. And so, I worked all through my 20s and my 30s doing other things.
Well, real quick, name some of the types of jobs you had.
Okay. All right. Okay. So I've worked as a music director at a church. I've worked painting houses. I've worked in a sawmill in Westminster. I've cleaned houses. I've ran an after-school program at a middle school. I've worked in an after-school program at an elementary school. I've worked at libraries. The sawmill was one of my favorites because
I was going to ask you about that. I didn't know there was a sawmill in Westminster.
there was. Maybe it's closed down. A lot of the old jobs I had, it's like they're not there anymore. But that was like one of my first jobs after college. I moved to Maryland, and I had a car, and I had $800, and I just lived with friends. And I was looking for work, and I got a job at a sawmill. And I'm like the musical artsy guy who did theater. And I was like wearing the flannel with the earplugs, and I'm not handy at all. And I would tell my friends, I'm working in a sawmill, and they would laugh and they'd say, "What are you doing for real?" I'd say, I'm working at a sawmill. I was like flipping lumber, banding it together. Hard to play guitar because my hands bled every day. I have like that old man story of like, my hands bled every day when I worked. So that was one of the craziest. I didn't like that job.
No,
I wasn't very good at it.
I think most people over the age of, I'll say 40, have done at least one job in their prior life.
Yes.
That they're glad that they experienced it.
Oh, totally.
But they wouldn't want to do it again.
Mm-hmm. It makes you thankful for what you have. So the days where I'm playing, sometimes I'll do a tour. I'm playing 3 shows a day or 2 shows a day for a couple days.
Wow.
And the great thing about the kids shows is they're 30, 45 minutes. So you're in there and it's high energy, and then you're done. Mm-hmm. You're on to the next place. And so you're just beat after that. But I love it. But I also go, I'm so glad I would rather be doing this than everything else that I've done before. So
now, having both spouses be musically inclined and having been a duo, does Carrie sometimes wish she could be more involved? Or is she happy with the role she has?
I know this answer so well, so I'll speak for her, and I don't think she would mind. She really loves being the accompanist. Did I say that right?
I have trouble with that one.
Yeah. So I'm like the person, and my kids always laugh because everywhere I go, I'm like, I want to be the center of attention. Bop, 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 bop. And she's happy to just like support. And so a lot of people have come up to her over the years being like, should it be Carrie and Friends, not Mr. Jon and Friends? And so she always calls herself the Friends because she's happy to jump in and do that. And so it makes it easy for me to do a lot and then to bring her in whenever she wants. And kind of the running joke we have is that everywhere I go, people will come up to me and say, your performance was so great. We love your wife's voice. And I'm like, what? Do you like me? Yeah. And they're like, oh, you're good too. But she does have an amazing voice. And one time, I mean, this happens show after show after show, several times a month or more. And one time someone came up to me and they were like, I really like your voice. And I was like, yes, I got one. I came home, I was like, someone liked my voice.
That's sort of like my late friend, John Holly. We have a celebration of life coming up for him. And he was at a lot of my shows. He was a wonderful supporter of the arts, whether it was music or theater or didn't make any difference. And he was an integral part of it. And I played 2 or 3 of my songs, and he says, can you play a good one? And you have to know John Holly to know that wasn't a dig, really.
No.
But it was kind of like, makes you humble, doesn't it?
Yeah, give me some. What else you got?
Yeah.
I love that.
So really quickly, tell me what your future looks like.
My future looks like I'm hoping for more of the present. So, like I said, I'm just happy to be working. The goal of mine was very simple, is to be able to do this as a full-time job. And so I think one goal I have for the future is to maybe not work so hard, because right now I'm probably doing about 20 shows a month in order to like pay the bills, support the family. That's a bit much, and it feels like a bit much, but it also feels like I'm at a certain phase of life where that's okay, that eventually I might be able to like slow down a little bit. But yeah, I think that's it, because the present is going great. You know, I just like to keep doing more of the same. I'm just happy to be on the show and to be doing it.
You know, there are many musicians. Well, you can pick the career path, the industry, whatever, but there are many musicians who would love to be as busy as you are.
Yeah.
So you are fortunate, I think, to, you know, and I know it's a lot of hard work that people don't see. They don't see the behind the scenes.
Right.
They just see the performance.
Yes.
And forget or just don't know. What do they say? You're not being paid for the 2-hour performance. You're being paid for the days of being on the phone and email and the many hours in a car and the lousy food. That's what you're being paid for. So $50 for a 2-hour show just doesn't cut it.
No. Maybe a secretary. I'd like a secretary in the future to do all my office work.
Just anybody out there looking for work,
right?
You know, contact Jon. And how can people find you online?
Okay, well, here, you ready? This is something for you.
Okay. This is a family radio show.
A family show. We got Mr. Jon and Friends here. It was a clean shirt I had at home. For those who can't see, I'm showing my T-shirt, which is Mr. Jon and Friends
So
under my shirt.
MrJonandFriends.com.
Yeah, MrJonandFriends.com or MrJonMusic.com. As long as you Google search me, Mr. Jon and Friends, and Jon is Jon. Very easy to find. I'm on all the socials. I'm streaming everywhere. Yeah.
So on Spotify, can you tell how many views or how many listens you've had on your songs?
Yes. Yeah.
What, is Snake in the Grass the most
I would
popular?
say, although Snake in the Grass is super popular, although we put out like a new album a couple years ago, and we did a version of the rhyme I learned as a kid in school called Peel Bananas, where it's just, you just go peel bananas, peel bananas. It's just like a silly rhyme. Well, we took it and put it to music, and that's like our top song. So that's kind of cool. And guess who sings that song, Todd?
Couldn't be Rafi, could it?
No, it's Carrie. So my wife, Carrie, who sings.
She has a beautiful voice, Jon.
She has a beautiful voice. No, she does a great job. She did a great job in the studio. And that's probably the top song.
But you know, her voice aside,
yes,
listening to your songs, which I hadn't done because my kids are older now.
You don't listen to a lot of kids' music?
Now, if you had been around when my kids were little, yes, I would have listened to a lot.
Right.
So your voice actually fits the songs you sing very, very well.
No, thank you, though. Thank you. I appreciate that.
And thanks so much for being on the show with me. This has been fun.
This has been so fun catching up and being here.
Yeah. And you folks, check out Mr. Jon and Friends, and you'll be lucky enough to catch Carrie's voice, because on their original EP, she sings a love song, right?
She does at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you don't even join in on that one.
Nothing.
No. That's the coup d'etat of the EP. Anyways, thanks so much for watching, and catch us next time. I'm doing, let's see, who am I doing next week? I can't remember. But anyways, stay tuned for the next show. It'll be great. Not as good as Jon, of course, because, hey, he's just the best. Thanks again.
Bye.
To talk with you.
some candy, some sweet candy. I'm like a moth drawn perilously close to that porch light. Don't know, 'cause you distract me.